I do love a Monday. Shavua Tov, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land and hosted by me, Rolene Marks. I do love me a Monday because I get to talk to you guys. I get to bring you those top stories making headlines in Israel, as I do every Monday to Thursday. And I really miss you over the weekend, but I hope you all had a well-deserved break and have those audience questions ready for me this week. If you want to participate in the discussion or send me through a question, please do so by popping it in the comment section below, or you can do so via the Lay of the Land website at www.layoftheland.online. That's www.layoftheland.online. So let's get into those top stories. It is day 276 and a day over 9 months since the start of Israel's war with Hamas, following Hamas's massacre on the 7th of October. There are still 120 hostages being held in the Gaza Strip. We are extremely worried. We want them home now. So let's start with our main news, and that is Prime Minister Netanyahu has presented his conditions with regards to the latest hostage deal. His conditions are as follows. Any deal will allow Israel to resume fighting until all objectives of the war have been achieved. There will be no smuggling of weapons to Hamas from Egypt to the Gaza border. There will be no return of thousands of armed terrorists to the northern Gaza Strip. Israel will maximize the number of living hostages who will be released from Hamas captivity. The plan that has been agreed to by Israel and which has been welcomed by President Biden will allow Israel to return hostages without infringing on the other objectives of the war. Now, the other objectives are to dismantle Hamas's military and governing capabilities, and of course to return all 120 hostages, including Avera Mengistu and Hisham al-Sayed, as well as the remains of Hadar Golden and Oron Shaul, who have been there prior to the 7th of October. A well-placed senior Israeli officials balked at the Prime Minister releasing his conditions. He said, why is there a need for a conversation when his conditions have already been released? And earlier today, a delegation headed by the Shabak departed for Cairo for more discussions. Now, what is interesting about this particular deal is that Hamas, for the first time, have dropped their demand that Israel ends the war up front. And according to a senior IDF commander, Hamas are wary and demoralized. They have been seriously damaged militarily. President Herzog has expressed his support for the hostage deal, saying that all of Israel, the entire country, wants the hostages home. And I have to tell you, that is absolutely echoed here. There is no place that you can go in Israel, including where I am right now, wearing my dog tags that say Halev Shelanu Shavui Ba'aza, our hearts are captive in Gaza. I alternate this with my yellow ribbon, and everywhere you go in Israel, whether it's people wearing our dog tags, our ribbons, or posters of hostages, everywhere we demand our hostages are released now. The Prime Minister said the majority of Israelis support a deal, and that is absolutely a fact. Both Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Herzog have congratulated the new British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, on his win over the Tory party in last week's elections. The Labour Party, which won by a landslide to take power since last being in power 14 years ago. Keir Starmer is credited with uprooting or rooting out anti-Semitism in the Labour Party. There have been a lot of controversies over the last decade or so, especially under the stewardship of Jeremy Corbyn. Corbyn ran as an independent and won a seat in the Parliament. However, there are still concerns. There are many Labour Party MPs and MPs from other parties who take a distinctly anti-Israel stance. However, the Prime Minister and the President both reiterated their enthusiasm for strengthening ties with our great partner, the United Kingdom. An IDF probe into intense fighting in Kibbutz Be'eri on the 7th of October will be presented to the IDF chief on Thursday. The IDF have been conducting an investigation into intense fighting that took place around the house of Percy Cohen on the 7th of October. And this involves the firing of a tank shell. Hamas took 14 people hostage inside this house and 13 were killed. Now, the IDF are investigating whether it is a result of heavy and intense fighting or as a result of a tank shell. And they have appealed to the public, please, not to spread rumors until the final findings of this probe are handed to the IDF chief and made public. And finally, Israel yesterday marked a very, very ominous anniversary, 9 months since the atrocities of the 7th of October. I can't believe that today is day 276 and we are fast approaching that 300-day deadline. It is absolutely inconceivable that we are living through this. And we can't even imagine in our wildest nightmares what our hostages and their families are enduring. But the real worry, and in a report released by Walla, one of the Hebrew publications, they have said that medical teams are preparing for the possibility that some of the remaining female hostage, of which there are 12, could be pregnant when they are released or may already have given birth. It's something that I find absolutely inconceivable. As we know, women have been repeatedly sexually assaulted by Hamas terrorists. It has happened to some of the male captives as well. There is that documentary, Screams Before Silence. I cannot stress hard enough how important it is for everybody to watch it. It is free. It is available for viewing on YouTube. It is called Screams Before Silence. It is important everybody watches that. And there is overwhelming evidence that supports the fact that there were horrific rapes and incidents of sexual mutilation and violence committed by Hamas on the 7th of October. Reports have been submitted by the UN Special Envoy on Sexual Violence, as well as the Israeli Institute or the Israeli Commission for Crimes of Rape. And of course, we have those horrendous, remorseless confessions by Hamas terrorists on camera, quite relaxed, quite without any stitch of remorse, stating that they raped, in some incidents, gang raped Israeli women and killed them while they were raping them. The stories are absolutely horrific, but because there is such a tsunami of denial, it is up to us to bear witness, and it is up to us to ensure that these testimonies are heard around the world. A very, very worrying anniversary, and on Friday, the mothers of those that remain hostage took to the streets and marched on Friday, speaking about how desperate they are for their children to come home. It's where they get their strength. It's beyond. It really is beyond human. And I embrace them all. I know all of you do as well. I know you all echo our call of release the hostages now, and that you wrap your arms and your prayers around the families and the hostages. So let's get to today's question, and it comes from Lucille Hunter in South Africa, and she asks, what do I think about Prime Minister Starmer's Jewish wife? Well, I think, first of all, Mazal Tov. I think it's wonderful that the Starmer family observe having Shabbat dinner and going to the synagogue. I wonder if she's going to put a mezuzah on 10 Downing Street, but I think that this is a very positive development, because I think especially now when anti-Semitism is at astronomical levels around the world, including the United Kingdom, I think that it is good to have somebody in the highest echelons of power who understands the impact that has on Jewish people. Prime Minister Starmer's children are being raised Jewish, and I know that he is not immune, first of all, to being the recipient of some anti-Semitic rhetoric, but also understanding the impact that has on Jews and also on his family. So hopefully he will be a leader that will take this very, very seriously and clamp down on it. And as for Mrs. Starmer, from what I understand, she is a woman that does not court a lot of publicity. She is the quiet strength beside her husband, and I wish them all of the best. And the question remains, will they keep kosher, and will Larry the cat, will he be eating matzo ball soup? Now that is a question for our viewer section. So that brings me to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. I gave you those website details earlier on, but as a reminder, www.layoftheland.online. And our Facebook community, which is growing rapidly. So welcome to our new members. If you haven't joined us, please do so on @LotlSite. It's @LOTLSITE. And we are right here on YouTube at the Israel Brief. If you like our content, please click on that subscribe button beneath. And we are on X at Lay of the Land 5. Guys, God bless you all. Take care of yourselves and each other. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.